What's up, everyone? I had a conversation with Geoff from Australia. He's a life coach, and he helps millennials find their purpose and put them on the right path to accomplish their goals in life. And if you like what you hear, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell to stay up to date on more videos like this. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Skype. Yeah, Skype, Google Meets and Zoom both you have to pay for the features in order to hit record, in order to use the record button, but on Skype it's free. And so I use Skype. Many people use Zoom, but I find this to be fine. So how's it doing? You hear me well?
Yeah, it's good, quite good.
Awesome. All right. Well, where are you based? If I remember correctly, you're not based in the United States.
No, I'm based in Perth, Western Australia.
Perth, West? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Perth, Western Australia, yeah.
Got it. Well, awesome. My brother's wife is from Australia. Australia has some good people.
Yeah, we do.
So how you doing? How's everything going?
Yeah, really good. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, so nice and early.
8 o'clock in the morning. It's 8 o'clock at night here. I'm ready to go to bed. I go to bed pretty early.
Early to rise, early to sleep.
Yep. Yeah. So we had a conversation, very briefly on Facebook Messenger. You are part of the personal development Facebook community, right? The Facebook group?
Yeah, that's one.
It's funny. Someone else who responded to that post lives 10 minutes away from me. And I told my wife that, and she was like, "Oh, that's normal, right?" I was like, "No, this is a community where like people live all over the world." And we hopped on a phone call, a chat earlier today, like 4 hours ago, and she lives 10 minutes away from me. It's crazy. What a world.
Are you guys going to meet up?
Well, I think we'll just do a Skype podcast. It's just so easy, like just a video podcast we'll do together. Yeah, but we were just doing like a discovery call to see what we're all about. So what are you? You're in the personal development community. Why are you in that? Why did you join that? And what do you do? Because we've never met before, so this is an introductory meeting as well.
Yeah. I'm pretty impromptu like that as well. So for me, personal development is really important to what I do because I'm a life coach. So I'm a transformative life coach for millennials. So basically helping millennials discover their purpose, understand their passion, creating a roadmap for them to achieve what they want in their life. So being part of the personal development community allows me to, I guess, interact with different people who need help with different things. Because you'd see in that group where people post questions and they ask polls and that kind of thing. So I'm able to actually help and give my feedback, my input in a way in which you wouldn't really have that kind of outreach if it wasn't for social media.
Yeah, I would never know you if it wasn't for social media connecting us to the Facebook group. So how long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it for about 4 months.
Oh, okay. So not too different than me, I guess. I wouldn't consider myself a life coach, but for me to be hosting a YouTube channel and a podcast that talks all about self-development, it just started a couple months ago. So not too different. What got you into it?
Well, there's a big story behind that, and I guess I'm going to tell you the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's why you're here, huh?
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. So for me, personal development started quite a few years ago because I was in quite a rough spot. I used to be heavily addicted to drugs and drinking, and this was not too long ago. This was like early 2020, and I was working a job. I finished studying, that kind of thing. Like it's not like I was, completely doing nothing in my life, but I just couldn't tolerate the way my life was going. I just didn't like the fact everything I had about my life I just didn't enjoy. And maybe it could be down to a lack of gratitude or a lack of perspective, but I just hated it. So I was really struggling, and I discovered this book actually at the op shop, a $2 book called The 50th Law by Robert Greene and 50 Cent. Have you heard of that?
No. By 50 Cent, you said?
Yeah.
The
50 Cent.
rapper?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he even wrote a book. So it's the 50th Law.
50th Law by Robert Greene and 50 Cent. And Robert Greene's a great author, by the way. He pretty much writes a book, but 50 Cent co-authors it with his input.
Got it. Okay.
And
So that's
yeah,
the book that changed your perspective on things.
it definitely got the ball rolling. It was a good starting point. So reading that book, 50 Cent talks about the importance of sobriety, because he, in like all of his videos and his lifestyle, you might think that he's an alcoholic or a drug addict. He used to deal drugs, but he never touched drugs. He used to party with alcohol, but never actually drank alcohol. He used to fill bottles up with water and pretend like he was drinking hard vodka or hard liquor, right? So his whole persona is based around sobriety because he can make good, clear decisions. I never thought about it that way before reading that book. So it hit something inside of me where I was like, okay, like something has to change because I want to be somewhere better than where I am right now. This is like almost 2 years ago at this point. So I made adjustments, and what I did was I got off the drugs and stopped drinking. Not all at once, it happened. There was a lot of relapses, I kept going back to it. But throughout the whole time, I kept on with the personal development journey. I kept reading, kept watching videos, started studying. So I discovered a life coaching course, which I just bought because I wanted to make my life better. I wanted to learn how to be a better person. But the more I did it, I was like, wow, I'm really interested in this because it involves social psychology, involves behavioral psychology, neuro-linguistic programming, and I just kept diving deeper and deeper into it and learned more and more. Got fully certified, and it came to a point where I was like, wow, I actually really enjoy this so much that I want to do this full time because it combined the things that I'm passionate about, which is my psychology, neuroscience, things like that, and you put it towards a holistic use of helping people out in a practical framework. So that's how I'm at the point where I'm at right now, and I've been doing this for 4 months, and it's really enjoyable. I actually been like it. Being able to talk to you, being able to talk to other people around the world, it's super fun.
It is. I've had a few people on the podcast that I've known for 20 plus years, and when I sit down, I'm forced to have a conversation with someone for an hour. I learn more. I learn more than I did in that hour than I did in 20 years, which is pretty remarkable. I guess I guess that shows the shallowness of sometimes people's conversations. But when you're forced to have these conversations with people and you talk about their life story, obstacles they've had in their life, challenges, triumphs, all these things in personal development, you get to really know someone a lot better than you're at a party and you're just hanging out. So I love to do it. Who is how is it getting certified for a life coach? Like, what does that process look like?
The process is picking, I guess, I'm not sure what the name is, but there's like accreditations. That's the word I'm looking for. So there's different companies that do accreditations. For me, I went through the School of Ecology. They're basically the School of Applied Psychology, and they do a bunch of different certifications, different diplomas, advanced diplomas. So it does take a long time to finish these. Like depends how fast you do it, I guess, but it's like mostly a bunch of like it's like videos and like interactive coursework, and you have to actually like go through the entire thing, and then you are certified at the end. But it does vary, so there's like 50 hours, or it might be like 60 hours or whatever. So I initially did my life coaching, and I was like, I want to do more. So I started doing neuro-linguistic programming, and then I've done that as well. And then now I want to do cognitive behavioral therapy. It's more just like making myself more aware of what's within the space, but also increasing my repertoire for what I'm able to help people with.
So who was your first client? Who was your first
Mhm.
client that you've worked with? Well, you probably can't give those specifics up, but how was the
No.
experience of getting a first client without naming
Uh,
anyone?
yeah, because we do sign confidentiality, so I can't
Yeah,
say anything
of course.
specific.
Yes.
Yeah. But getting the first client was actually word of mouth. it was a friend of a friend, and we'll just call this person R. Okay, and R needed some help because he was going through some tough spots in his life. He wasn't able to move forward past, I guess, a lot of the things that were bothering him for many years, like such as anxiety, overthinking, negative spiraling. And he was really stuck in a bad point where he just was not happy with his life. It's not that he didn't have the things to make him happy, it's just that he didn't like where he was. So what we had to do was we had to discover a framework of how to get him from where he was to where he wanted to go by basically digging up all the things that he didn't want to face, looking at how they were holding him back, and then chipping through them and showing him how they're not serving him anymore. And because they're not serving him anymore, how are we going to do something about that? And that's where that framework comes in to be able to help him achieve something greater rather than staying in the same position.
Got it. Do you think that you are a better life coach because you had a challenging issue with drugs and alcohol, and then you got out of that darker period, and now you see the light, you have a different perspective on things? If you didn't have that experience, you think it would be tougher to like be authentic and talk to these people about how you can get out of this? Look, I'm an example. Here's what I did. Like, does that help you as you work through this?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Like I always look back on it when I do my reflection and I'm like, wow, if I hadn't gone through bad periods in my life myself, and I've been through a lot of bad periods, I wouldn't be able to fully appreciate what I do. And I'd be doing it for money. Like a lot of people get into this industry just to get a lot of money, six figure, seven figure, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but you got to provide the value first. So when I do this coaching, it's like, yeah, okay, like you still got to get paid, but at the same time, I'm doing it because like I actually really want to do it. Like it's something that I enjoy to help people that were in the same position that I was in, and I know the way out.
Yeah. How do you like running it? Because it's your own business, I would assume. How do you like running your own business?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, you were before working for a company.
Yeah, I used to be a clinical coordinator.
Clinical coordinator. What does that mean?
So, massive pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, Moderna, and things like that. So these companies have to do clinical trials. Like, for example, that's how the vaccine was trialed. Um, so my role used to be overseeing a bunch of these global projects, like in different countries, different pharmaceutical companies, and used to just run them and do the trial.
Got it. So I would assume there's a lot of bureaucracy in that. You can't just decide what you want to do and make it happen. You got to get rounds of approvals, I would assume. A lot of red tape. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of red tape.
And now you go to your own business, you're running the show. I think that everyone should run their own business in some aspect, because when you, including me, when you work for a company that is already massive, has huge market share, sales come in almost guaranteed. They fluctuate, and you got to understand the fluctuations, but they're almost guaranteed. And then you would go to your own business. It's a very different story. You sort of take all of that for granted a little bit, that it took a lot of manpower to get those sales to be consistent and all that stuff. And then you run your own business, and it's great because you run your own business, but now you got to sell. You got to sell yourself. It could be a little bit uncomfortable at first, but it helps you grow more as a person. I think it humbles you more, and it makes you appreciate like the hard work that gets involved in running your own business. So this is your first time, I'm going to assume, first time you're starting off running your own business.
No, not at all. It's like my fourth time.
Oh, so you got this shit down pat.
Yeah, yeah, I've done it before quite a few times. Yeah.
What was your first business?
The first business I ever run was it was a timber decking service. So me and one of my best mates from school, we basically opened up our own decking and timber framework company, and it did really well. We ran it for about a year before we both get bored. So it's not that it wasn't working out, we just got bored of it and wanted to do other things. But it was really fun. So we kind of like did different roles. So he was a carpenter. I kind of did all the business overview. So having done that business overview before has translated really well into this.
Yeah, what are like some, for people who've never run their own business, what were the big learnings that you got from like, oh, I gotta do this. Like it could be as simple as like taxes. Like I don't know how to run taxes for a business. I never, run a business, and someone might be interested in that. Are there any like really key learnings you had from running your own business?
Yeah, from running the first one, definitely two. Marketing is essential. I didn't understand marketing at all back then. I didn't understand what it was. We did really well, but that's because we had a service that was tailor-made to provide as clients. It wasn't like any other business where you have to go to market. In carpentry, there's actually an app called High Pages. I think they might have it in America, maybe. And what it does is it basically clients just sign up on there and you contact clients and you pay for a lead. So that was really great. So, but I didn't understand marketing back then. The second thing I didn't understand was, as you said, taxes. Taxes are crazy, especially when you run a business that's a partnership. I didn't understand what I was doing. Luckily, I had a really great accountant. They kind of showed me the way. Um, but I didn't understand it at all because I was only at this stage, I think I was 19 or 20. I was really young.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So
we were
you,
kind
so
of
you,
just
s- you never have you worked? You've been starting companies since you were a teenager.
hmm I
Got
did
it.
work, yeah. I worked many jobs. I was working jobs and studying the whole time as well. I just love doing things, Chris. So I always open up my own business or study heaps or try different jobs. I've worked in so many different industries.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, life coaching is also about life.
What is the
Yeah,
most satisfying part about being a life coach for you?
seeing progression, seeing not just like seeing that's so vague. I mean, seeing people overcome something to achieve something that they want, which like you could only see if you're a third person perspective.
Do you think that these people could eventually get out of their own way and like this person that you helped find from point A to point B? Like, are they so in the trenches and that they can't get out? And yeah, like, for example, how did you get out of the book? You read the book. Got it. Some
Oh, there's
people,
way more than that.
okay.
Yeah. Like the book is a starting point. It's like a genesis, but the thing is like there's two ways about it, Chris. It's like um the first way is the way I did it, which is without any framework or any guidance. All I did was I literally switched my mind into pure determination and sheer will. So every day I forced myself to train and absolutely blast myself at the gym. I used to work like full time, many hours, about 10 hours, like 8 hours at work, and then 2 hours at home because there was so much work to do. This is when I was working full time. And I literally just spent all of my time working and training and reading and studying and trying to improve myself. And that's how I got out of that because I literally used sheer willpower to move me from point A to point B. But that's only one way to do it. That's like probably not the best way. The best way to do it is to have a framework for improvement. It's where someone literally, it's like trying to build a house without blueprints. That's the way I did it. But building a house with blueprints is a better way about it. And that's what I have learned in my process. And I'm showing people with my study, my life experience, accreditation, everything. I'm giving people that framework.
What is the framework? Because I have
Mm.
a view on this. Well, I don't have a very well put together view right now, but I did a podcast earlier today. I did a podcast earlier today, and I talked about reading and why reading is so important. But it brings me to the topic of I don't think that my view for self development doesn't mean that it has to be so focused in on only self like help topics, like very like self help topics are very like mind over matter type of things, and that's important. But I also think it's important to have a good diet because if you don't have a good diet, that's not going to help your brain at all. Like you're not eating healthy, you're not going to have the right energy to tackle the goals that you want to get from A to B. If you're eating like shit and it's causing illnesses down the road, doesn't matter how motivated you are, you're slowly killing your body. So it's like I look into all aspects of learning, and it's not just from like mind mind over matter. It's like goal setting, it's eating healthy, it's investing correctly. I didn't know how the hell to invest when I was younger, but learn to invest. So like later down the road, when I'm retired, I have money to sustain myself. Um, learn to communicate better. And it's like a whole, it's just like if you were looking like a circle of all the things you can do, it's like there's so many aspects of personal development, from health to family to investments to every topic. And I think it makes you a better person for it. Is there a framework that you're actually willing to share high level? And there might be some proprietary stuff you maybe don't want to show or share, but that's fine. But is there like a framework in your head that covers all of these aspects? How do you go about it when you have a sit down with someone and you're trying to build out a framework for that person?
Yeah, for sure. So before I do that, the first thing I'm going to say is I do agree with what you're saying, is like your basic requirements of like diet, like exercise. Like if you're not doing these things, you're not giving yourself a shot anyways. So like that's like your base level. But once you do that, a lot of people are doing that. They're going to need something else because you can do that all you want, but if you don't understand where you're going, then you're not really going to go anywhere. You're just going to repeat the motions and then fall back into your same patterns. And I see that all the time. Happen to me too. So it does happen all the time. Now, in terms of what I do in my program, so when I did all my study and my certification, I created a course. Okay, and the course I have partitioned into 6 different programs or packages, as you will, and they target different things, but they do overlap as well. And I'll tell you what they are, and then but it will be a high level overview. I don't want to go into the specifics of it. So the first one is called the Purpose Insight, and that's my favorite one, purely because the Purpose Insight is designed to help people discover their purpose, and it really works. It's the same thing that I use and the things that I've used for my clients as well. It helps them to discover what they're passionate about, what their purpose is, and where they want to take that, and what is the use of that, and how is that going to really help them help others? Because that's key, man. Like understanding the impact you can have allows you to wake up every day and be like, wow, okay, I'm actually going to do something that's important, and that's where that comes from. So I'm helping people do that. The next one is the beliefs breakthrough, another program as well. This is helping people understand, okay, what holds you back. If you already know what you want, that's awesome. I have to show you how to get there, but sometimes people get in their own way. Actually, a lot of the time people get in their own way. They don't understand that their past experiences or their beliefs make them think that they're going to have a future outcome. It's an expectation, and because of that, you sabotage yourself. It's common. Another one is a mindset maximizer, understanding how to improve your mindset to have a framework for your thinking and for how you're going to interact with other people as well. So that when you go out into the world and you do things, you maximize what you get from your mindset. You're able to have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. And the others will be the clear communicator. That's pretty clear. Helping people communicate better with each other, building better relationships. The goal setter, helping people understand where they're headed and how to get there. I give you the framework for how to get there. It's a whole way of thinking and a way of looking at it differently because you got to have goals if you want to get anywhere. And last of all, there is the confidence booster. So that's basically helping people understand what holds them back, same as a beliefs breakthrough, but more tailored towards relationships. So if you really struggle, say, I don't know, like talking to girls or whatever, this is really going to help you because you're going to get rid of those limiting beliefs on, say, like rejection or anxiety or whatever like that. It's not a one size fits all approach, but it definitely gives you a framework to understand why do I feel this way. So it's all 6 programs are combined to help people not just change their way of thinking, but ideally going from a fixed to a growth mindset with an end target and a roadmap to get there.
Does depending on the person you're working with, do the goals and steps forward, milestones, however you want to call it, do they start off smaller and just so they can understand that they can accomplish these things and then get bigger and bigger and bigger? Is that an approach you could take that might work?
I normally reverse engineer it. Because I find that if you start from the bottom without having an end in sight, you normally just end up repeating the same things because you're not setting a goal that's big enough. Because setting small goals is great, and you always have to set small goals. But first, you got to have a big goal. Then you got to chunk that down. So there's a process called chunking up, chunking down. Chunking up means you're making a small goal and expanding that, extrapolating it. that is not always the most efficient because you're basing that on something that you can only see in the short term. But if you're chunking down on something that you can see in maybe 5 to 10 years, then you're going to be able to execute steps to achieve that because you want the larger goal, you want the bigger picture.
Yes. What about someone who is a massive alcoholic, can't get out of their house? I would assume they get maybe a smaller step forward for them. Like maybe like the first step is like one day you just stop drinking. Like that could be like a first step. And then once you got that off your plate, it's like then you can go tackle the world. But like, yeah, it seems like some people could be so in the trenches that they just need to know that they could accomplish things. And then once you get an accomplishment on your belt, you feel a little better about yourself, and then you can set higher targets. I track with everything you're saying. For me, my goal setting approach is I start off with a mission statement of like what my life, when I'm at my deathbed, what I would want to have accomplished. Then I set a 1 to 2 year out where I want to be in 1 to 2 years. It'll help me keep getting closer to this mission. So in 1 to 2 years, I want to be able to do this or be something. Then, in order to accomplish that growth, I need to hit five. I call it the top 5 3. So I aim for 5 measurable goals that I can measure and that have a deadline, and then the top 3 actions that'll make those goals reality. So it's like starting from overall mission and breaking it down into little things that you could start doing to make that mission a reality is how I go about it. So I track with everything you're saying as far as having a purpose. I think if you don't have a purpose, you get like depressed about like, what the hell is life all about? Like, why the hell am I waking up at 5 a.m., cooking a healthy meal every day, working hard? Like, is there an overall purpose? When you have a mission or a purpose, it makes it all the little minutia of life much easier to work through, is my whole view on it. I'm assuming that's what you're getting to when you say you need a higher purpose, so you get out of the day-to-day minutia. Am I tracking with what you're saying?
Yeah, you get it exactly right. And it sounds like you yourself have gone, it sounds like you've gone through the whole purpose process yourself to discover exactly what you want. Because yes, understanding what you want your tombstone to say is a great way to work backwards, because it's going to be thinking, what do I have to do every single minute step to get there? And, I used to struggle a lot with that concept you said, the minutiae as well. It's like, see, like life doesn't necessarily have meaning from the moment that you're born. You got to find that. You got to create that. It's not like, oh, I'm going to be this and that's all I'm going to be for my life. And then you figure that out at like 4 years old. No, you got to go through life and experience it to understand what you truly value. So once you have your core values, then you can have a stronger purpose because you have a direction. You got an inner compass you can follow every time, and that's what's really empowering. So when you wake up, you're like, okay, I have a reason to get up today. It's not just I have to get up so I can live. It's like, no, I want to get up. And then that's the best feeling ever.
How do you get people to think that way? Because, yeah, I'm very driven that way. To a point where my wife probably makes fun of me about this stuff, but I'm very driven that way. And it only happened because is at the right moment in my life, where I was open to hearing this kind of information. And I read a book called Think and Grow Rich. And I'm not sure if you've ever read it, but it's what changed my whole perspective on this, of like, wow, I could take my mind, set it on a goal, and actually make that goal a reality, as opposed to like having nothing in sight. It's like having an archer who shoots bow and arrows, have no target. It's like if you have no target, you can't hit anything, you can't achieve something. But it wasn't until I read that book until it opened my mind. But if someone were to tell me what you're telling me right now, and I wasn't in the right mindset to hear it, I could see it being a little difficult to hear at first. People are not really always great, including myself, at hearing how they should fundamentally change the way they think about things. So is there an approach that you take to help get past that mental block of people?
So in terms of that, um, yeah, so a lot of the time, you're going to get people that are in operating in a fixed mindset because that's just the way things are happening for them. And that's completely fine. See, life coaching is a very different thing to a lot of other coaching types because life coaching is about helping people at the point in, that point in time you're talking about when you read that book. That's when people go and search for a life coach. A life coach does not search for you because you need to search for someone when you're at that point in your life and you're ready for the next step. Because if you were aggressively trying to get, clients, you're not helping someone that is ideally suited for your service. And this is something that I learned a lot in the early days of doing this, is that, yeah, like for life coaching, it's so important to work with your ideal client because your ideal client is going to need your help and you're actually going to be able to help them because there's not much use in helping someone that isn't going to be able to help themselves. And then that will make you a terrible life coach because you're just trying to take, you're not trying to give. And that's the importance of working with your ideal client. So yeah, having someone at a particular point in life and them finding you or you finding them, whichever works, is the first step. They've got to be ready for it.
I lost you. I don't see your face anymore.
Oh, it's back now. Yeah, my camera does some weird things.
No, like I see
How's that
your
though? Is
back.
that? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Hang
I
on.
see the background. I just don't see you.
Okay, is that
It's
showing now?
no, it's not working. Oh, there you go.
There
There
we
we
go.
go. I hear what you're saying, but one of my things that I like to do on this podcast is I do a few things. I do book reviews of anything nonfiction that I've learned that has helped me. Again, it could range to a lot of things. Bring people on the podcast where we can learn from. It could be anyone like in a profession that's interesting that maybe someone younger wants to learn how to get there. And I just talk about topics that I think are important within self-development. Um, but I guess where I'm going with this is, yeah, my mission is to have like a positive influence on people, and I still want to break through. I still want to break through to those people who aren't even mentally ready for what I'm saying. Like, yeah, for me, I guess I don't know what's more satisfying, like breaking through someone who you see is obviously struggling and they just can't get out of their own damn way. It would be so much more satisfying to break through that person's mental block and be like, you could literally stop living like a complete loser, eating like shit. And loser, like, I don't mean to say that in a harsh way, but like eating like shit, not setting goals and bettering yourself. And I only say that because every single person, I don't care where the hell you're from, what you look like, how old you are, what your color of the skin is, every single person has a massive potential. And so I try to get the potential out of everyone because I don't care who you are. I think as long as you have the right mindset, you could have a massive potential. So I do find it a challenge to try to change the way some people have their mental blocks and won't adopt certain principles that'll get them to a better life. So, yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but it's hard. You're strictly dealing with people who are looking for the change.
Well, the thing is like Chris, I associate what you're saying because I was definitely like in the same mindset that you're in when I first began. Not even when I first began, like for a long time, I always thought that it was my duty to change other people because of the way in which I had learned to change myself. But the more that I developed, the more that I guess like put myself into learning and trying to like be more aware of my perspective in terms of my interactions with other people, I begin to realize that it is not my duty to change someone who is not ready to change because they've got to go through that whole character arc, which I've gone through as well. many people in my life told me, okay, it's time for you to stop doing drugs, time for you to stop drinking. You need to start getting things together. But you see, like if I had not gone through that whole character arc of like 8 years, I would not be where I am right now. See, people have to go through their character arc to come out of it and then come out of it stronger because if you try, it's like trying to build a house without a foundation. If you don't have that foundation to actually support you because you've been through the tough times, you've been through that and you're ready to change, well, your house is going to sink. So not everyone's ready for change. People have to go through their character arc. Everyone's got their own story. But at some point in their life, if it's for them where they wake up and they're like, okay, like it is time to make some changes, then that's where a life coach stands in. But I do understand what you're saying because I was like that for many years. I was always like, why don't you just do this? Like it's so clear to me what you could do. But
Yeah,
people aren't built like that. People have their own journey, they have their own way of seeing things, and you've got to respect that too.
I track with that. Um, because me 15 years ago, I would try to shake myself out of it. I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Stop being an idiot. Like, do these things. But I was probably very stubborn at that age and wouldn't want to listen. And it wasn't until I had that transformation that I am the person I am today. Yeah, it's it's a good point. What what does your business look like right now? Like, what are the kind of people you're helping? Like, where do they live in the world? Are they all over the place?
They're all over the place. Yeah, primarily in Australia at the moment, but there are a few in different countries as well. So there's a couple in Malaysia, Thailand, some in Europe, and it's for me it's just like trying to expand. I started off doing it just in Australia, but I realized that well we have the internet, so it doesn't have to be within Australia. It can be anywhere in the world. I actually initially moved to Melbourne a little while ago. I just quit my job, moved to Melbourne because I was like, I'm going to do coaching in Melbourne. I went to Melbourne and it went into lockdown immediately on the day I arrived. And I was in lockdown for 2 months. And I was like, well, that's when I discovered this whole internet thing because I was going to do it in person only. But because of the lockdown, I had no other avenues. And then I was like, wow, the internet allows me to connect with anyone, anywhere. We're talking right now and we're in opposite sides of the world.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
when did
it's
you
amazing.
discover the internet?
Oh, I just came out on the rock a few days ago. No, but
Okay. When did
yeah, I didn't understand the concept of like online coaching until I moved to Melbourne, and I was like, okay, this is a viable thing. It's a real thing.
when did you join that Facebook group, the self-development Facebook group?
Um, a while ago, a while ago, I think like about half a year ago, before I even started coaching, like I just wanted to be in there to learn more from other people, really. But I've been in there for a while.
Got it. So you were at least in the beginning using that more of a source of information and inspiration.
Yeah,
And then are you now contributing to that? Are
yeah, I
you
contribute almost every day.
uh doing the opposite now? You're inspiring and informing other people. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I hope so.
All right. You have we haven't went into your darker experience of drugs and alcohol, and we don't have to, but there, I wonder if you have any plans to like write a book about any of that stuff, knowing that everyone in self-development seems to write a book, including me. We all seem to love to write books, but you seem to have an interesting life story. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really want to write a book. See, the book is a life manifesto because everyone in self-development, we know that a book is eternal. You know, like video text, you can get lost, but books are tangible. We can bring that into the world, and that's powerful. So for me, yeah, I would love to write a book. I've been thinking about it since I was like 19, 20.
Oh,
But I was like, I need to do some more living first. But I have always journaled my life. I've always kept it, and I've always like did some philosophical writing as well. Just tried to deconstruct big ideas that I couldn't quite understand. So all of that would be combined into a book. It'd be very philosophical, plus with my life as well. Just kind of person I am.
yeah. You've for me, I find writing helps externalize my writing. When I'm forced to write, I feel like I think better. Like I have like a technique where if I haven't fully thought my idea out yet before like I go to a work meeting or something, or I want to think through something, I write a fake email and it forces me to like think through everything I would have to like say on the topic, and like more than I would if I was just like in my head thinking. And do you find that at all, that like writing helps you like take all those thoughts externally, helps you organize your thoughts, and helps you like really think harder into what you're trying to brood about, I guess?
Yeah, it really does. I have a journal that I always, well, not a journal, but like a book, many books that I just write in whenever I'm trying to declutter my mind. Because one of the key things of like being an author, because I did this like copywriting course, is that to become what to put out your best work, you have to actually like free write for like 5 to 10 minutes. Basically, just like spew out everything on your mind before you uncover what's really useful. So in terms of that, yeah, it's decluttering, allowing you to process your thoughts, which see, if it's all inside your head, you can't really tangibly understand it. But if you get it down onto paper, you can draw links and draw correlations between ideas, and that can give you more clarity on what you're doing.
Do you tell people that you're coaching to write more often?
I have not, but you've given me a great idea. That's a great idea, Chris.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I tell my wife to do it. I don't know if she does it or not. Um, okay, so potential book coming out. I'll be interested. Seems like you already have a book. It's just like written in all different places. Now you just need to organize it into a book.
Yeah, that's what I need to do.
What if someone were to come up to you, younger, making their way throughout the world, what would be like the top 3 things you would tell them to start doing? And they're open to this mindset of like changing their ways or learning to improve. Like, what would be like the biggest 3 things that could change your life?
Number one, exercise every day. Number two, often reflect on what has happened to you recently. Number three, actually, no, to that, well, I'm going to give you four, actually, I think. Number three, show gratitude. And number four, don't live as though today is your last day.
Don't live as today's your last day.
No, because it might not be, but if you live that way, you sabotage yourself a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I like them. I love them. All right, Geoff. I'm hoping that you can send me, if you have a website that you talk more about everything that you do, that I can send people your way.
Yeah, I've got a website, everything. I can give you that link on Facebook if you like.
Awesome. I will put that in the description. Is there anything else that you wanna highlight before we head off?
Yeah, I'd like to highlight those programs I talked about before. I talked about them a lot, but I like to highlight that those programs are things that I guess clients can pick from, but also I can kind of say, okay, like this is what you need help with based on what you're telling me. So those programs differ in length. They're not all a cookie cutter approach. Some are shorter, some are longer, but they're tailored towards an outcome. That's the key thing that I have from my programs is they give you an outcome at the end. I try to say guaranteed, but guaranteed is a dangerous word. So, but like the outcome is at the end of the program, this is what you should have. You should have a greater insight into your purpose. You should have a stronger mindset. You should have some beliefs that you've broken through and now you're no longer limited. You should have some goals. You should be clear at communicating. And finally, you should have more confidence. So it's going to boost that. So those are the outcomes that I'm aiming to deliver to everyone who works with me.
Very cool. And I'm looking forward to hearing. If you keep posting, I'll keep looking at your posts on our Facebook group. And
yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch. So, good morning to you. I'm gonna go head off and go to sleep very soon. It's great to meet you, and let's stay in touch because we can do this more often. You just got started. I just got started into this. We'll see where we are in a year and see how things are going.
Do a good catch up.
Yep. All right, dude. It was great to meet you. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you in the near future.
Same to you, Chris. Take care, mate.
All
See
right,
ya.
dude. Bye.